The Hebrew Bible, 5 books of Moses. Leviticus chapter 8. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take Aaron and his sons with him, and the garments, and the anointing oil, and the offense offering, bull, and the 2 rams, and the basket of flatbread, and assemble all the community at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And Moses did as the Lord had charged him, and the community assembled at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And Moses said to the community, This is the thing that Aaron charged to do. And Moses brought forward Aaron and his sons and bathed them in water. And he placed the tunics on him and girded him with a sash and dressed him in the robe and put the ephod over it and girded it with the ornamental band of the ephod and tied it to him with it. And he put the breastplate on him and placed it in the breastplate, the Urim and the Thummim. And he put the turban on his head, and he put upon the turban at the front of the golden diadem the holy crown, as the Lord had charged Moses. And Moses took the anointing oil and anointed the tabernacle and everything in it, and consecrated them. And he sprinkled from it on the altar 7 times, and consecrated them. And he sprinkled from the altar 7 times, and anointed the altar and all its implements, and the laver and its stand, to consecrate them. And he poured from the anointing oil Aaron's head, and anointed him to consecrate him. And Moses brought forward the sons of Aaron, and dressed them in tunics, and girded them with sashes, and bound headdresses on them, as the Lord had charged Moses. And he brought close to the offense offering bull, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the offense offering bull, and it was slaughtered. And Moses took the blood and put it on the horns of the altar all around with his finger, and rid the altar of offense. And the blood he poured out at the base of the altar, and consecrated it to atone over it. And he took all the fat that was on the animals, and the lobe, and the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and Moses turned them to smoke on the altar. And the bull, and its hide, and its flesh, and its dung, he burned in fire outside the camp, as the Lord had charged Moses. And he brought forward the burnt offering ram, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram, and it was slaughtered. And Moses cast blood on the altar all around, and the ram he cut up into its parts. Moses turned the head and the cut parts and the fat into smoke, and the innards and the legs he washed in water. And Moses turned the whole ram to smoke on the altar. A burnt offering it was, as fragrant odor to the Lord, a fire offering to the Lord it was, as the Lord had charged Moses. And he brought forward the second ram, the installation ram, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the head of the ram, and it was slaughtered. And Moses took from its blood and put it on the right earlobe of Aaron, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And he brought forward the sons of Aaron. Moses put from the blood on their right earlobe, and on the thumb of their right hand, and on the big toe of their right foot. And Moses cast the blood on the altar all around. And he took the fat and the broad tail, and all the fat that is on the innards, and the lobe on the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and their fat, and the right thigh. And from the basket of flatbread that is before the Lord, he took 1 loaf of flatbread, and 1 loaf of oiled bread, and 1 of water, and placed them on the flat and on the right thigh. And he put everything on the palms of Aaron and on the palms of his sons, and elevated them as an elevation offering before the Lord. And Moses took them from their palms and turned them to smoke on the altar, together with the burnt offering. They were an installation offering for a fragrant odor, a fire offering they were to the Lord. And Moses took the breast and elevated it as an elevation offering before the Lord from the ram of installation. For Moses it was for a portion, as the Lord had charged Moses. And Moses took from the anointing oil and from the blood that was on the altar, and sprinkled it on Aaron and his garments, and on his sons and on the garments of his sons with him, and he consecrated Aaron with his garments, and his sons, and the garments of his sons with him. And Moses said to Aaron and to his sons, Boil the flesh at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and there you shall eat it, and the bread that is in installation basket, as I have charged, saying, Aaron and his sons shall eat it, and what is left of the flesh and of the bread you shall burn it in fire. From the entrance of the tent of meeting you shall not go out 7 days until the day of completion of the days of your installation. For 7 days shall your installation be. As was done on this day the Lord charged to do to atone for you. And at the entrance of the tent of meeting you shall sit day and night 7 days, and you shall keep the Lord's watch, and shall not die, for those I have been charged. And Aaron and his sons with him did all the things that the Lord had charged by the hand of Moses. Chapter 9. And it happened on the 8th day that Moses called to Aaron and to his sons and to the elders of Israel. And he said to Aaron, Take you a calf from the herd as an offense offering, and a ram as a burnt offering, both unblemished, and bring them forward before the Lord. And to the Israelites you shall speak, saying, Take a he-goat as an offense offering, and a yearling unblemished calf, and a lamb as a burnt offering, and a bull and a ram as communing offerings to sacrifice before the Lord, and a grain offering mixed with oil for the day the Lord will appear before you. And they took that which Moses had charged in front of the tent of meeting, and all the community came forward and stood before the Lord. And Moses said, This is the thing that the Lord charged you shall do, that the glory of the Lord may appear to you. And Moses said to Aaron, Come forward to the altar, and do your offense offering and your burnt offering, and atone for yourself and for the people, and do the offering of the people, and atone for them, as the Lord has charged. And Aaron came forward to the altar and slaughtered the offense offering calf which was his. And the sons of Aaron brought forward the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar. And the blood he poured out at the base of the altar, and the fat and the kidneys and the lobe from the liver from the offense offering he turned to smoke on the altar, as the Lord had charged Moses. And the flesh and the hide he burned in fire outside the camp. And he slaughtered the burnt offering, and the sons of Aaron provided him with the blood, and he cast it on the altar all around. And they provided him with the burnt offering in its cut pieces and the head, and he turned it to smoke on the altar. And he washed the innards and the legs, and he turned them to smoke together with a burnt offering on the altar. And he brought forward the offering of the people, and took the offense offering, he goat, which was the people's, and slaughtered it, and performed the offense offering with it as with the previous one. And he brought forward the burnt offering, and did according to the regulation. And he brought forward the grain offering, and filled his palm with it, and turned it to smoke on the altar, in addition to the morning's burnt offering. And he slaughtered the bull and the ram of the communion sacrifice, which was the people's, and the sons of Aaron provided him with the blood. And he cast it on the altar all around, and the fat from the bull, and from the ram the broad tail, and the covering fat, and the kidneys, and lobe on the liver. And they placed the fat on the breasts, and he turned the fat smoke on the altar. The breasts and the right thigh Aaron elevated in an elevation offering before the Lord, as he charged Moses. And Aaron raised his hands toward the people and blessed them, and came down from having done the offense offering and burnt offering of the communing sacrifice. And Moses and Aaron with him came into the tent of meeting, and they came out and blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people, and the fire came out from before the Lord, and consumed on the altar the burnt offering and the fat. And all the people saw and shouted with joy, and fell on their faces. And the sons of Aaron, chapter 10. And the sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, took each of them his fire pan, and put fire in it, and placed incense upon it, and brought forward alien fire before the Lord, which he had not charged them. And fire came out from before the Lord, and consumed it, and they died before the Lord. And Moses said to Aaron, "This is just what the Lord spoke, saying, Through those close to me shall I be hallowed, and in all the people's presence shall I be honored." And Aaron was silent, and Moses called to Mishael and to Elzaphan, sons of Uzziel, Aaron's uncle, and he said to them, "Come forward, bear off your brothers from the front of the sacred precinct to outside the camp." And they came forward, and they bore them off in the tunics outside the camp, as Moses had spoken. And Moses said to Aaron and to Eleazar and to Ithamar his sons, "Your heads you shall not dishevel, nor your garments rend, lest you die, and the fury come upon the whole community, and all your brothers, the whole house of Israel, may keen for the burning that the Lord inflicted. And you shall not go out the entrance of the tent of meeting, lest you die, for the oil of the Lord's anointing is upon you." And they did according to the word of Moses. And the Lord spoke to Aaron, saying, "Wine and strong drink you shall not drink, you and your sons with you, when you come into the tent of meeting, lest you die. A perpetual statute for your generations, to divide between the holy and the profane, and between the unclean and the clean, and to teach the Israelites all the statutes that the Lord spoke to them by the hand of Moses." Moses spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar and to Ithamar his remaining sons, "Take the grain offering left from the fire offerings of the Lord, and eat it as flat cakes by the altar, for it is holy of holies. And you shall eat it in a holy place, for it is your portion and your son's portion from the fire offerings of the Lord. For those I have been charged, and the breast of the elevation offering, and the high of the Levi, you shall eat in a clean place, you and your sons, your daughters with you, for it has been given as your portion and your son's portion from the communing sacrifices of the Israelites. The thigh of the levy and the breast of the elevation offering, together with the fire offerings of fat, they shall bring to lift up as an elevation offering before the Lord, and it shall be before you and for your sons with you as a perpetual portion, as the Lord has charged." And the offense offering goat Moses had insistently sought, but look, it had been burned. And he was furious with Eleazar and with Ithamar, the remaining sons of Aaron, saying, "Why did you not eat the offense offering in a holy place? For it is holy of holies, and this did he give you to bear of the guilt of the community, to atone for them before the Lord. Look, its blood was not brought within the sacred precincts. You shall surely eat in the sacred precinct as I've charged." And Aaron spoke to Moses, "Look, today they brought forward their offense offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and things of this sort befell me. Had I eaten an offense offering today, would it have seemed good in the eyes of the Lord?" And Moses heard, and it seemed good in his eyes.